Oh,
When we joined, it said it was recording, so maybe
right.
it's doing
And then
it.
I put it on pause. So start over. First agenda item, the animal control bylaw. So,
Okay.
so there's nothing about dogs in the bylaw. I mean, about the cemetery in the bylaw. And I think Helen's issue was that it is in our rules and regulations. And should we take that out and take that sign down at the gates? But you know, it's my understanding that we can be stricter than the state law, but not more lenient.
Okay.
People are taking dogs in anyway.
Right. So should we just go with the bylaw as it is and call it a day?
So is there a one sentence summary of the bylaw?
No. No, it's like 6 or 8 pages.
Yeah, but
if we have to go ahead with the dogs, can we say dogs are permitted within the boundaries of any cemetery in the town of Wellfleet, provided dogs are on a leash and owners pick up after their dogs?
I don't think we need that because the bylaw says that dogs must be leashed everywhere in town except when they're on your own property. And within the animal control bylaw, there's a whole section about scooping poop and the fines for not doing it and all that. So we would just fall under, just like the beaches or you know, anywhere else in town.
I would offer a combination of what Bonnie said with one more thing. I would say that we put a sign up that says dogs, let's see, dogs will be allowed, well, actually just what Bonnie said, and we'll say under penalty of something, a fine, if not observed. Just one little added phrase that says we're going to get you if we catch you. But I support, you know, putting a sign that just reminds them, yes, they're allowed, but on a leash and clean up the poop. Offenders will be fined accordingly, according to town law.
Right, according to the town animal control bylaw. So this is what you want us to amend our rules and regulations to say?
Yes.
Or you want a physical sign up there?
Well, I guess we have to amend our bylaws since it says now they are not allowed.
Right.
So yes, I guess I'm seconding Bonnie, and what I guess that would mean is amending our rules and regulations for the cemetery and putting up a sign.
Okay, so we'll take down the sign that's up there now and make a new sign.
What does the sign say now?
No
dogs prohibited.
Yes, I guess so. That's what I would propose to us, that we vote on that.
Okay. And can we ask the DPW to make the sign so we don't have to?
Yes, I'd like to do that too. Do you need a second?
Oh. Well, I moved to amend our rules and regulations to remove no dogs and to substitute what Bonnie has written.
Well, all I did was I took number 2, I took the sentence that was there, I crossed off the no, and then I just added provided dogs are on a leash and owners pick up after their dogs.
Okay. So that's what I move. Do I have a second?
Do we want to add something about offenders will be fined accordingly, or not bother?
Well, you could say something per the animal control bylaw.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
I second.
Do you want me to text you that wording?
Sure, or email me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll email you.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, next I believe is green burials, or do you want to take the third item, which was the new new vendor payment thing.
Oh,
Yeah, let's do the vendor payment thing first. Get it out of the way.
Right, because Green Barrels will take a while. So as I think you both know, apparently we have been paying bills incorrectly. We have two accounts. We have sale of cemetery plots and we have perpetual care. So when we sell a plot, everything goes into the sale of plots except for the $250 that goes to perpetual care. And apparently because that is a revenue fund, we are not allowed to expend from it. So
I have two things in our cemetery policy book, 01-93, and it says establishment of the sale of lot fund and the perpetual fund, their management, etc. And it says sale of lot fund for cemeteries. Principal and interest earned by this fund shall be spent only by the vote of the cemetery commissioners for the enlargement, improvement, or embellishment of the town cemeteries or purchase of equipment in the event of an emergency, and the perpetual care income fund monies are not sufficient. Perpetual care fund, principal to be invested, and only the interest earned by this fund shall be spent and expended by a vote of the cemetery commissioners for the care and maintenance of the lots and cemeteries, which gives us total control over the money that we're not allowed now to spend.
okay, I will show that to Charlie. And
Do you have the cemetery, it says cemetery policy book?
I have that.
I believe I do.
And it's 01-93. Because it was established, this policy book was established in 1993.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Did Nancy, did you and Bonnie both say the same thing? You each read virtually the same thing, except Bonnie's interpretation was we can spend it without getting permission, and Nancy, you said we can't spend it without permission. Did you both say the same things about where the money goes from the sale of the plots in terms of some going to perpetual care, some going into another account?
Yes.
Okay.
However, I have been advised that we're not allowed to expend any money out of the sale of plots account. Like that's a revenue source. Now we have to have like an expenditure line. So Charlie's idea is to create a line for us in the DPW's budget. We take money out of the sale of plots to fund that expenditure line, and then we pay our bills out of that.
Do we need to get permission to do that?
Oh, why does it have to go into the DPW? Because we were taken out of the DPW.
Well, that's one thing I have asked Charlie, can we please just have a line, a third, account for the cemetery? And he still is leaning towards the DPW. I guess there is a line for cemeteries in the DPW right now, but just has $500 a year in it. So we'll need to set up that third account and then transfer money into it from sale of plots, and then we pay our bills out of that new fund. And if we should run short, then we would have to do a transfer at town meeting.
So let me ask for a clarification again, and maybe it means starting at the beginning. Right now we have these two different accounts. One's perpetual care and one is sale of plots.
Yep.
And when we sell a plot, all the money from the sale of the plot goes into the sale of plot fund, except for the $250 for perpetual care, which goes into the perpetual care plot or fund, right?
It's actually $200 that goes into perpetual care.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it goes there. And right now we're able to spend whatever is in the sale of plot fund, period. But we can't And we can spend whatever's in the perpetual care fund that we've gotten from interest.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I got that now. So,
But they're not allowing us to spend the money.
yeah. So now Charlie is saying that we never really did have the power to spend it, as Nancy just said, from either the sale of plot fund or the interest from the perpetual care fund. Is that what he's saying?
I don't know about perpetual care, but out of the sale of plots, yes.
Okay, and he's proposing to have a line item in DPW that we choose how much money from the sale of plot fund we want to put in that.
Right.
And then we can draw on that without getting permission from anybody.
Right. Right. That's, yeah, just how like I pay the assessor's bills out of certain budget lines that I have in my budget.
And he doesn't, so he just wants us to have that sale of plot fund sitting there. And the only activity is when we transfer money from it to the DPW
To
fund.
whatever our third line is going to be, yes.
So anytime we need to spend money, it's like a two-step process of
Right.
taking money from the sale of plot fund, putting it in DPW.
Right.
Do we need to get permission from the DPW, or do they have to come up with do they manage all the paperwork and the check and everything?
That I don't know, but I would certainly want to be able to pay the bills ourselves, because Jean Leidenfrost, who's the assistant over there, does not need any more work. You know,
based on that, can I propose that we table this item and invite Charlie to come to the next meeting? And
David, aren't you going away?
yeah, well, but I can be at a Zoom meeting.
well, you know, basically, we don't have any choice.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. Then that's a whole different story. I thought
Right.
we
The
were
hard
still
part is
discussing it.
John Fougere has not been paid for months.
Right. And I did call him yesterday and talk to him, and he
Yeah.
understands.
So, if
so
we
I
don't
said-
have a choice, then okay, then then it is what it is. Thank you for explaining that.
Right. We just have to. But so I had to go to the finance committee and put in a request for a transfer from their reserve fund so that we can pay John. And I don't know if they meet only once a month or twice a month, but the paperwork has been filed and it will come up at their next meeting. So I told John, hopefully only like another 2 weeks before he gets paid.
And the reason you had to do that is because we don't have a DPW line item right now?
Correct. And the DPW budget is already in deficit at this point. So Jay Norton was not willing to pay the bill for us and let us transfer money, reimburse him at Springtown meeting.
Okay.
Because he just...
Well, that's really a problem in the future. We're solvent. They aren't. You know?
Right.
But okay, it is what it is.
Right. And so also we will not be able to have those trees taken down until July 1st, when our funding of that budget line will come into effect. So
unless the finance committee fronts us that money again.
Well, we have the money somewhere, don't we?
Yeah, we have quite a bit of money. We're just not allowed. There's no vehicle for us to spend it right now, the way we always have.
Is it a problem to ask the finance committee to front us that money as well?
I'll ask Charlie that when he gets back on Monday.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. I apologize. I didn't understand that you were just telling us the way it is. I thought this was a conversation we were having about what to do. Okay, thank you.
Unless we can come up with, like Bonnie in the policy book, unless there's something in there that we can. But I think it's the way our accounting should be structured. Okay. Like I was talking to the beach administrator, and you know, all the money that she takes in through the sale of beach stickers, she can't just go and you know, pay for her office supplies out of that fund. She has to have an expenditure line or a place. It's like, it's not like we've basically, and we didn't know any different, but we pay the bills just like a checking account. You put money in, you write a check out, but we cannot do that in municipal accounting.
Okay.
Apparently. It's got to be, it's like you transfer money, you deposit money into your checking account, transfer it to your savings account, and pay the bills out of your savings account. So, right, like you said, David, it's a two-step process, and there's no vehicle for that right now until we have the next fiscal year's budget.
Okay. Well, thanks for giving me that information. I appreciate it.
But the DPW won't have access to that money, will they?
No, we have to make sure that's not a thing. And that, like right now, like anything for my assessor's budget, anything I have left over at the end of the fiscal year goes into the general fund. But
that can't happen with us.
That cannot happen because we don't know what we're going to spend in any given year.
Correct.
You know, the other thing that I wondered about when you were saying that, well, we already have a line item in the DPW's account, and it gets replenished with $500 every year. What is that money for?
I think they might just use it for gas, for mowing, something like that.
And that money isn't coming from us. It's coming from the town.
Right. That's when the DPW does their budget, that's what they put in their cemetery line.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So on to green burials.
Great.
I guess so.
Now, if you'll bear with me for a minute, I want to try to share my screen with the document. Okay. Share screen. Blue box that says screen.
No.
And there we go.
You are the bomb.
Yeah. So you guys can all see this.
I can see it. Yes.
I've got it in my hand.
Okay. Okay. So this number 2 here, no dogs are permitted. That's the one we're going to amend.
Perfect. Yeah.
No, we're going to just reword it.
Right. Yeah, so reading through these.
Nancy, do you want me to give you the background again, just for the record, or not?
No, I got background. We got these rules from Brewster and Provincetown.
Correct, and all that wording is in green, comes from them. It's not my wording.
Right.
But I think when we finalize this, it should be 2 separate sections. Rather than interspersed.
I feel that way too, because it's confusing, because then you're going like back and forth and back and forth.
Yes, just, you know, these are the rules for the green burial, and these are the other rules. People will zone and totally disregard anything if they have to read it like this.
So for instance, number 6, that's the first place where you see something. We talk about the general rules for the cemetery regarding decorations and things like that. Now, again, in Provincetown, I'm not saying we should do that, but in Provincetown, in their green burial section, they're very clear that you can only use natural biodegradable things. So you couldn't put plastic flowers or things like that. And so under number 6, if we were to do what you say, we need to say, except for green burials, see green burial guidelines. We have to at least say that, don't we? if we go that way. We might not.
So in Provincetown,
Isn't that the same guideline for both?
Well, no, under our number 6, it says, you're right, it says no artificial flowers, but it says like rustic baskets, wire frames, tin cans, bottles. I mean, I guess you're right, in a way it is, because we're saying what artificial flowers aren't allowed. So I guess everything is natural and biodegradable, except for the wire baskets and the tin cans and bottles, right?
yeah,
Nobody pays any attention to that anyway.
apparently not.
For sure. And you know what? Again, we may decide that Provincetown's guidelines are too micromanaging and we don't want to go there. And so that's okay too. We could say, even in the green burials, we'll let people have bottles and cans and wire baskets. We don't care. We're happy with the way.
Oh, I do care. I wouldn't vote for that. I care. I don't want all that crap there. I'm just saying that people generally ignore us.
I totally agree, but we still have to have it in the rules and regulations. So again, my point is only that, yes, we can have a separate section for green burials, but I think we need to say, like under 6, see below or see green burial guidelines for decoration guidelines, something like that.
Now, this is presuming that we are going to have a separate section in the cemetery for green burials.
Correct.
Which we have really not discussed. I guess I was just assuming that you could do a green burial just on the plots as they exist today. I guess we haven't talked about.
Well, again, remember, I did this draft back when we were talking about, we're going to have a green burial section over in the northeast corner in the woods, remember? And I don't, that's not my first choice anymore, but that's what this reflects.
It was presuming a separate section.
Yes, exactly. So, but I'm with you. I'm not there anymore. I have a whole other idea. So I'm with you on that.
What do we do if a husband wants to be a green burial and a wife wants to be in a vault?
Well,
on the same plot?
It's a great question.
I say go ahead.
Yeah, I would say so too.
But you can't probe for finding exactly where his body is.
Well, so in answer to your question, I didn't want to jump ahead yet, but let me just, if I may, Nancy and Bonnie, in talking with John Fougere, I asked him about, well, what if we intersperse green burials with all of our other burials with the vaults? And he was very clear that he would not move his equipment across a green burial plot in order to dig a hole for anything else, period, and especially not with a vault, moving a vault. So what we proposed, and I don't have this on a screen to share with you, but since we're the only ones here, I know you can picture this. If you look at the new section, and we have 3 rows of 20 by 20s on either side of Grove Avenue, right?
Yeah.
We have 3 rows running north and south. If, for instance, we dedicated the middle row of either the left side or the right side of Grove Avenue, right? You with me so far?
Yeah, I'm just getting my map.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Should I wait, Bonnie? Or did I just keep talking?
Okay, I've got it so that now, tell me again.
So
you're talking about.
Yeah, so if we took either the whole, let's just say the whole row, and I'm not proposing that, but starting with number 2, 9, 16, and just go from north to south all the way, right?
Okay.
Or we went the row starting with 5, 12, and 19, going from north to south, right? And let's say, for instance, and I'm not saying this, but let's say we said, okay, let's dedicate rows starting with 2, 9, and 16, the whole way from north to south as green burial plots. And John Fougere said, because he's worried about bodies moving, he said he would not recommend selling a green burial plot under a 10 by 10. It's got to be at least a 10 by 10. So even if the body moves, it won't move that far. You'll still have room in there, right? And so that way, if to get to those plots, he can cross over either from Grove, number 3 going to 2, or from Oak crossing 1 to 2. That way he knows he's got plots that have vaults in them or nothing. And he's comfortable accessing those plots, starting with 2, 9, and 16 to dig holes, right?
What are the dimensions of those?
They're
20 by 20.
Yeah, so there's potentially 4 10 by 10 green burial plots. So I'm not saying we do all those, but I'm just saying that we could have that row or the one on the other side of Grove dedicated. It satisfies John Fougere's comfort level because he's never going across a green burial plot at any time because his arm can reach over to do the digging. And then when the husband wants the green burial and the wife wants the vault, you can still do that in a 10 by 10 if you wanted to. Now, someone might say, oh, well, it's going to cost me more money to have a green burial because I have to buy a 10 by 10 instead of a 5 by 10. Well, not necessarily, because you're not paying for a vault. So it's almost a wash.
Right.
So what we're saying is we're going to let you have a green burial for virtually the same price.
Because you're not having any funeral home costs.
Right, or the vault, which
Right.
is a good chunk of change too. So we're sort of jumping to the end, but then we can still include all these green burial guidelines. And you know what? In Provincetown, they really wanted to give people the opportunity to do their own digging and stuff like that. But we don't have to do that. We can say, no, green burial for us means no vault, no preservatives, but that's it. You don't get to dig your own pole.
No, and I don't want to have the responsibility of standing there watching them do it all.
Yeah. So we still maintain control of that. What we're offering people in Wellfleet is you don't have to have a vault. You don't have to have formaldehyde. That's it.
You do have to be in this dedicated section.
Exactly. And you know what? In 50 years or 30 years, if they want to change it, let them change it. But
Right.
as of now, under our guidance, this is what we're offering people. And I think that's okay. That's where I am.
And so we start with just 2, 9, and 16, just to try this out, test the waters.
It's up to us. If that's Bonnie, if that's what you're comfortable with, as opposed to the whole row.
Well, because that's a huge chunk of change, and we could add, if this was going well, and we could add more.
That's exactly my thinking.
How about if we offer?
And there is a low area down there where you might not want a green burial.
Yeah, good point. Well, how about this? What if we offered 2, 9, and 16, and then 65, 72, and 79? That way we have both ends of that new section. Or just 2 on each side, 2 on each end, just to see how it goes.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
So just do 2 and 9 and 72 and 79.
Yeah,
I don't mind designating the 3.
If we're selling 10 by 10s,
we're not losing any money.
That's 16 10 by 10s.
Yeah.
I think that's a good start.
So Bonnie, go ahead, Nancy.
Well, also to point out that top row where 2 is, those are 15 by 20s, I think.
Oh yeah, they're not.
Hang on, what are they? Yeah,
They're
I have it
smaller.
written down somewhere.
they're 10 by 20s.
So okay.
So that's so that's 2 in 2 and 4 and 9. Right?
Yes.
Well, we could always do 2, 9, 16, 72, and 79.
That's fine with me.
That's fine with me too.
Okay.
2 and 9 and 16 and then 72 and 79. All right. And so now maybe we go back and start again and see what works and what doesn't work based on what we just said. So on number 6, do we see a need to say anything about sea green burial guidelines or no?
No, because I think we should have a sheet of paper for a burial that's going to have a vault and another sheet of paper for one that's going to be green.
Okay, under guide, but what about the
I
cemetery?
would be willing to do the typing up so that we duplicate all that wording that relates to both of them in both.
So we're going to have 2 sets of cemetery rules and regulations.
Yeah, because if they're buying a green burial lot, they get the green burial rules, which also include all these other things about fences and curbing and everything like that. And if they buy one that's not, because that's the only place we're going to have green burials so far, then they just get the regular rules.
I'm okay with that. Will that confuse people, or if we have 2 sets of rules and regulations or not, or I shouldn't
No,
worry about
because
that.
we're going to be deliberately buying the green burial lots for green burial.
Okay. All right. I'm fine with that. So we're going to have two sets of rules. What do you think, Nancy?
Well, I don't feel that the green burial lots have to be devoid of any kind of decoration. I mean, if somebody wants to put down a basket of flowers in a rustic basket, then that's okay with me. I'm not of the opinion that it has to be, radically green.
I agree with you.
I do too.
Well, let's go through this and see if it says that anywhere, so that Bonnie will have the language. All right. So number 6,
It does, under vases, you have green stuff for decorations and vases that they have to be biodegradable material or fresh cut flowers simply placed on the grave. It does say a lot.
Yeah, I didn't have time to do.
Well, on the second page,
Barbara, I didn't have time to type that up, and I'm in a cemetery meeting right now. Okay. So can I email it to you this afternoon after my meeting is over?
Yeah, I guess that'll work. Can I pick up the original tomorrow?
I won't be here tomorrow.
Okay.
We're in a meeting. Oh, you're on Village Lane. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you know Martha? Would Martha do that? Is she going to be here till 4? Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm going to go pick up my daughter from work.
Okay, Martha will drop it off to you.
Oh, bless your heart.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'm bored.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so on the second page, there's a thing about decorations and a thing about vases. So it does cover that they can have something.
Do we want to leave that in there or just let them do what we've always let them do?
I think actually we should include that, some of that wording into the one number 6, because
yeah,
there's too much junk.
Well, and this, you know, with the on page 2, the decorations and the vases and stuff. Well, also on number 6, it just requires policing. You know, I mean, who of us is going to go up there and say, "Oh no, you know, that vase of flowers is not, you know, in a biodegradable container."
Well, we'll know it when we have our cleanup.
Well, again, just like with all sorts of, as Bonnie says, we give them the rules, we tell them, and then they do what they want. But at least we have these rules.
Right.
Now, Bonnie, what I heard you say was you actually like the green burial guidelines for decoration vases. You'd want to include that in number 6 on the first page. So that's fine with me. So both of them will have something similar to a merged version of those two.
Yeah.
All right, good. So you'll provide us with a draft of all this anyway.
I will. And you know, as far as the balloons go, I have removed them. You know, every now and again we do swing through there, and if somebody's left balloons up, helium balloons, no less, I take them down.
Okay. All right. So so Bonnie, you'll merge number 6 and the green burial 2. Good. All right.
And we all said that we weren't going to let people dig their own hole, right?
Okay.
What I didn't understand.
Where are you now? Where are you now?
Well, wherever it says that cemetery staff has to be
hand opening.
Where?
It's on the first page under internments. Yeah, hand opening and closing. We're not going to do that, right?
Where, I don't know where you. Oh yeah. Well, before you get to there, how about before you get to there? Can we go through the rest of it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll feel crazy here.
Okay.
So number 7, we may not need that green. We'll just leave it. Number 8, we're leaving that. That'll probably be in both.
Uh-huh.
Number 9, we're saying that we'll
are we having we have to have corner markers, don't we?
I think that would help John Fougere for one, but it would help us too.
All right, so we're going to say number 9 is the same for both.
Yeah.
Green and non-green.
Where in this draft is it different? Where you say see below for green burial guidelines?
Well,
where is that?
Let's go through it first and see. I don't know. That's why we're going through this. All right.
Yeah. Okay,
so number 10, a permanent vault of some type must be used. So that's for non-green burials.
Correct.
And then it says, except in the section of, and of course now it's Pleasant Hill, right?
Yeah.
Pleasant Hill Cemetery designated for green burials. Green burials are allowed in the one designated section of Pleasant Hill, located in the west side of cemetery.
The other people, we wouldn't even sell them one of these lots.
Correct.
So I don't think we need to say that. Because the permanent vault is for the people who bought the other kind.
So, but we do have to say a permanent vault of some type must be used except in the green burial section of Pleasant Hill. Don't you think?
Okay.
Just to say it. All right. All right. Now, let's skip all this green for a minute and finish. Well, and then that's it. And that's really it. Right? And then, so everything else, 11 through 25 is stays the same. There's nothing about green burials.
So we are going to have two different documents.
I don't feel the need, but I'm okay with it if Bonnie thinks that makes more
Well,
sense.
let's see. Let me work on it, and then let's see what you both think of it.
Okay.
Okay.
You did have a green thing on number 21.
Yeah, hang on. And I just crossed it out. What did it say? Read it for me, please.
Roosters, it said, the site marker should be a flat natural fieldstone or quarried stone, no larger than 2 feet by 1 foot and set without a foundation.
No, I don't think we should have any different guidelines for monuments or cornerstones than we have for the other ones. It's the same.
Okay.
That's
I
what
don't think so either. Because I think
right?
most people's concern is being buried naturally. I don't think people are, maybe some people will be more radically green than others and say, I'm not having a marker of any kind. But I think the big concern is just that their body can be buried naturally. So,
right.
What if they want to have one of those nice rocks on there, like people use,
Right.
Yeah. Should we go through this description on page 1 of green burials just to make sure Bonnie knows? So stop me when I say something that you don't understand or agree with. Okay. Green burial shall mean a burial that allows the body to decompose naturally, returning all elements to the earth through environmentally sound practices. A green burial incorporates the following essential elements: an unembalmed body wrapped in a biodegradable shroud, cotton, wool, silk, hemp, etc., and buried on a natural burial trundle, wooden tray with handles, or in a coffin made solely of biodegradable materials, cardboard, wood, willow, bamboo, seagrass, felt, etc., or placed directly on the earth without a trundle or a coffin. Now, for me, for me, a green burial for me means no vault. And they can do any of these above things they want. But the key thing is we're not requiring embalming or a vault.
So someone could purchase a traditional casket with a metal clasp and metal handles and be buried in that in the green burial section. That's
okay with me.
That's okay with me too.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to.
That's a lot more weight. Now, how are they going to get that lowered in?
Well, no, remember, they can't do it themselves because we haven't gotten to that yet, Bonnie. I don't think we let them do it. It's John Fougere or some other qualified professional. This is not.
John doesn't put a funeral home puts this casket in because they have all those machines to lower it in and everything.
Well, okay. So, all right. So I guess I would just say a qualified professional does it. I don't support the town of Wellfleet burials be a DIY, do it yourself. And if people don't like that, they can vote me out. And they can jump in. So my big thing is green burial means no required concrete vault.
Yes.
Yes, to me too.
No required concrete vault or embalming. And then just give this nice narrative. Now, so then the next part under interments.
So you're not going to say, so you're going to take out biodegradable shroud and bury it on a natural wooden trundle made solely of biodegradable materials. You're taking that out?
No, I would say.
No, I think that should be in.
We could say
that helps people understand.
Exactly. We could say a green burial could include. We're going to be very open.
Right.
Well, it's not green if they use a regular coffin because it will not biodegrade.
Well,
eventually
it would.
Not completely.
Right. But so, Bonnie, I don't, for me, I'm not saying this is the way it should be. I don't care. That's not the piece of green burial that I'm concerned about. And,
But what's the point?
That I don't have to pay for a vault and I don't have to be embalmed because I don't want those toxins in the groundwater. So it's that's the limit of my green burial for me.
And it does say, or in a coffin made solely of biodegradable materials, cardboard, wood, willow, bamboo. Those are woods,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. I would
It's
like
just
to
not a
leave-
traditional coffin that's padded with padding and metal handles and all that stuff.
I would like to leave that whole thing in
Okay.
because
Good.
it helps suggest to people what could be used.
I support that. Yeah, try that out and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Okay, so under interments, all right, I'll read it. Interments, hand opening and closing. For green burials, the opening and or closing of the grave may be completed by hand by friends and or family of the deceased. If so, arrangements must be made by the cemetery staff on site during the opening and closing. All other requirements are listed in the next statement. I would cross that out. I wouldn't include that.
The whole thing. I agree.
Yeah. Period. Yeah. All the way.
This other thing with grading it, the backfilling it and piling extra dirt on, I think that's a good idea because it's gonna go down.
Right.
Right.
But I don't think we need to include that. We just know that's what it's going to be.
Well, if they don't heap it up, then we're going to be required to add more dirt.
Okay, so if it's not John Fougere, it's a funeral home, we need to make sure they know that. Yeah, good point.
Correct.
Good. Include. Okay. Cross out Brewster's comments. I think what about lowering devices? No, I think we cross that out too.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with them putting they prepare it ahead of time and they put the green grass over it.
Yeah. Okay. I
don't want to say anything about anybody driving their own corpse to the cemetery.
I mean, let them talk to the funeral home. And if the funeral home lets them drive the vehicle, okay. But the funeral home is responsible. And then you'll include the thing under decorations and vases. So now it comes back to the question, is there enough things under green burial to have a whole separate set of rules and regulations? But Bonnie, come up with a couple of drafts and see what happens.
Yeah, I think by the time you get to 23, where you're talking about the upright monuments, I would scale that down for the green because it doesn't apply. Only the 10 by 10.
Right, good. Well, that someone could buy a bigger plot. They could buy a 20 by 30 or 20 by 20. So just cross out the 5 by 10.
I don't know.
What?
Those dimensions, what is that? 6 feet, 8 inches wide? That's a lot
I
of money.
sincerely doubt anyone's going to get a monument that big. That would cost like thousands and thousands.
Oh, yes.
But
that's why I wonder why we even have that in here, except just to say not to exceed 2/3 of the plot's width.
Yeah. But that's
it gets a little dicey with some of those benches.
Yeah.
On the 5 by 10.
Yeah, that's a whole separate issue, though, right? I mean, that's a general conversation.
Right, that's got nothing to do with green burials.
So should we revisit this some other time or revisit it today? I don't know.
Well, why don't you let me play with it and then I'll get this to you and then we'll go over it and see if it needs more tweaking.
Good. And
Good.
again, to go back to what we said, Bonnie and Nancy, yeah, so my plan is to be gone from the middle of January to maybe the beginning of April, but I'm going to be available by phone and Zoom for like 99% of that.
Okay, and email too?
Yes, correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Perfect.
Excellent. That's real progress, guys.
That is great progress. Yeah,
Okay.
excellent.
So
Now,
when I have nothing else to do but sit here by myself because you're both gone, I'll work on those papers.
now let me revisit, if we can, Nancy and Bonnie. When I contacted the town legal counsel, she reviewed the town bylaws and the Commonwealth laws, and she gave me a written statement that said that legally, we do not need to get permission from any body, any capital B body or lowercase body, including the town at town meeting, to make any changes in rules and regulations. She did recommend that we include all town bodies and town meeting, or at least have public forums before we make these changes, to get input, just to avoid the appearance of being heavy-handed or to have people sniping after the fact. But she said, really, as she read it, and what she wrote in this letter to me, this memo, was it's totally up to us. The only caveat was that in order to be buried, and Nancy, you might know this better, that people have to provide a death certificate, which they give to the health department. Is that correct?
They give it to the town clerk. The town clerk is the burial agent for the town.
Okay.
Correct.
So, but the health department, and also Hillary, and I think I have this in writing too, said, oh no, we don't have any play in this. We don't have any part in any of these rules and regulations.
The town clerk was.
Right. But so she was not, she said, no, we don't want to have a say in town groundwater or health issues. That's not up to us. So having said that, I think we need to figure out what are actually the steps we want to take with whatever we come up with as a final draft before we actually make the changes on our own. You know,
we have made changes over the years. Just made them.
Right. Back, I have it somewhere in our records. We did get a letter from someone, because our green burials must have been on our agenda, who opposed green burials because of groundwater issues and all that sort of stuff. So there may be other people that would have suggestions. We can always do a draft and then, you know, put it on the website and, you know, have something on there about, you know, public comments if anybody wants to comment before we finalize. If you want to get other people's input, I mean.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I think,
there
you know,
are always going to be people who don't agree.
Yeah.
Right.
So generally speaking, I would say, I think it would be important, even though it opens up a can of worms, that to offer a public forum, whether it's in person or a Zoom, to just
No,
say,
I don't want to do that.
well, I don't either, but I think, you know.
I thought Nancy's suggestion was good. We just post it, people can read it, and they can make comments, but to.
How do we let people know that it's on the website?
Put it on the website.
Very funny. I would say, what about people who don't use the internet, or they've never been to the town website? Is there a way? And again, I know when we do that, we're going to open ourselves up to all these people that don't like what we have to say. But again, I think we need to still do that somehow.
I don't.
Okay.
It could be, we could ask that, like Rebecca Eldridge at a select board meeting when they have the announcements at the very beginning, where people,
Yeah, yeah.
say stuff, or, when they announced that Nancy Civetta got, Shellfish Warden of the Year, little informational statements. We could ask Rebecca Eldridge to read that the cemetery commissioners have a draft green burial document or draft rules
Or
about.
we're preparing an area, a small area for people who prefer to have green burials. Just stated as this is what we're doing.
And
but
the draft regulations are online.
Yeah.
I support that. And I'm willing to make that statement at a select board meeting if you want.
Sure.
No, that satisfies me. That's fine. That's
a lot of people do tune into those select board meetings now that they're on Zoom. So that's a good way. And then we put them on the website and give contact info, our emails or whatever, contact information if somebody wants to make a comment.
And I'm good.
I am good with that too. How about if when we get to the point of having a final draft and just before we put it on the website, how about if I loop back around to town council and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Are we following the law? Just to do that, or do you want to not bother doing that?
I don't think we need to bother to do that.
Okay. I don't either.
But let's see how it goes. Well, and let's see what we get for comments. We start getting some hate letters or whatever, it might be an issue.
Do we need to inform either the town administrator or the select board of the procedures we're going to go through? Or
no.
Okay, all right.
I really don't think we need to talk to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world. Right now, we're still working on paper.
No, I meant when we get to the point of we actually have a final draft.
Why don't we revisit that then?
And they will know it by it being said in public announcements.
Correct. We are supposed to be independent.
Right, and if somebody doesn't like green burials, they don't have to have one.
Yeah, just like an abortion.
Correct.
After public comments.
This meeting is recorded, Bonnie.
Yeah. Well, yes, in that case, I support Bonnie's sentiment, 100%.
Okay. Okay, so
I'm going to shade those squares on my map designated for green burial. And when we do release a draft for comment, we would have a copy of the, I would suggest attaching a copy of that section of the map.
Sure.
So people can know.
That's a good idea.
Great idea.
And I just had one other thing that's not about this. So are we done with this conversation?
So I'll also include this in the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, I'm done, Bonnie.
I had a phone call the other day from someone who just was asking about rules and regulations about the size or appearance of a cremains urn. And I told her we had none, that they could choose that. These were some people down in Maryland. Someone has died down there that has connection here, and that person's son lives here. So Nancy, you might get the call or I might get the call. I don't even have a name.
What are the rules for interring ashes?
Yeah, and I basically went over it, but they didn't want all the information because they're not the ones who were going to do it. All they wanted to know was about the urn.
Okay.
So I took care of that, and the son's going to go down there, get a portion of the ashes and bring it back here.
Okay.
And at that point, I asked them to be sure to contact Town Hall for adding it to the index.
Right.
So I just wanted you to know, heads up.
Heads up. Okay.
Okay.
I have another question.
Jeez.
I just want to update my my map real quick. The family that bought A, B, and C in plot 80 in the new section, what are their names?
Hold on. What is it again?
Oh, in the new section, DEF, plot 80, A, B, and C. The young couple.
Oh, it's B, C, and D. It's the two plots on Grove, and then the one to the east.
Where the baby is, right?
Right, and the baby's in C. That's Wagner and Cox.
So it's A, B, and C, right?
I have it as B, C, and D.
All right. Can you
put next time out?
Can you hold your map up?
You can't see it, can you?
I might. I can see the pimple on your cheek. Yes. Yes, I can.
Can you?
No, you're right. I can't see it.
I can't either.
I'll email it to you.
Okay.
But I've got A, B, and C, and B and C go down along Grove, and
Correct.
A and D are Cedar. Is that right?
Say it one more time.
I have B and C as Bonnie does along Grove.
Yeah.
And then I have D on Cedar.
Oh, I have that as A.
Oh, so A would be next to C?
No, I've got A, B, C, D.
So A and B would be on top.
No.
Oh.
I have A and B on Cedar and B and C on Grove.
That's what I have.
And so D is the farthest into the section.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes?
So what's their name?
Cox and Wagner.
Cox and Wagner. And what about 81?
That's Gribbons.
Spell that.
All of it.
Spell it.
Gribbons.
ONS. Okay.
Yeah.
Wagner. And you just said another one. You just sent an email today.
Oh, she just, the parents signed their, assigned their plot to their daughter.
So, and which one was that? Is that in Pleasant Hill?
No, that's Oakdale, row 55, row 55, 182-6, I think. But then it's the same name, Broadwell.
Oh, okay.
So there's no change there.
All right, okay. Thank you for that.
And I thought there was one along on the 5x10s and DEF that I forgot to tell you guys about.
5x10?
Well, I'll email you the little spreadsheet I created with all the plots we've sold since January 1st of 2021.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can make sure that those are in your index and on your maps.
And another thing, Bonnie, you had said that you wanted to add some more 5x10s. Do you remember?
No.
I did. Just because they seem to be very popular along West Ave there.
Yeah.
So I had thought, we'll just wrap it around the corner and go down Cedar, but we can't do that anymore because we've sold Gribbons. But I think maybe Bonnie had said, well, what about either side of Grove? Or do we just cross that bridge when we come to it?
Well, I'm okay adding some.
Except for the very end, these are all 20x20, right?
Correct. Except for along Pine.
Right. So it looks to me we've got like maybe 14 or 15 5x10s remaining along west.
We do?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
1,
7,
2, 3,
8,
4,
9,
5,
10,
6,
11,
7,
12, 13, 14. I have 15.
9, 10, 12, 13, 14. I got 14.
Okay, and I have 15, so we're close.
Right.
Bonnie, what do you think about adding another section, or do you want to wait and sell those first? Get farther down.
I think I have 14. Well,
I would say, why don't we wait until we sell half of those? We only have 7 left. Then we can add more. Then we revisit it.
Okay.
Unless you have someone who really wants one.
Oh, really wants a 5x10 in some other place?
Yeah.
No, nobody at this point.
Yeah, why don't we wait it then?
Okay.
he doesn't like his boots either. Okay, I'm willing to wait, but this was so popular, I think partly because people can just drive right up to it.
Right, exactly. That's why we thought of maybe something along Grove.
Yeah. Except that really shuts down access to some areas.
Yeah, it's going to, things are not going to be as geometric as we would like.
But we've got some dicey areas around 11 and 12, I think it is. Isn't it rather irregular?
Oh, you've got that berm.
Yeah.
Along.
Yeah, somewhere around there. It's either 11, 12, 18, or 19, maybe.
I'd say it's 4, 11, and 18 on the east side of those.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how we do.
Yeah. Well, that's a good suggestion. It could be right along Grove for 4, 11, and 18. There might be a place.
Right. If it seems like we can't get 4 10x10s out of those plots.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll do a site visit sometime.
Yeah. Good idea.
All right. So a couple more questions, just because Sharon hates it when I do what ifs. She says, let's just wait. But so what are we going to say if, number one, someone who's a select board member or general public says, hey, I hear you're working on something. Or someone from a newspaper says, hey, I hear you're working on green burial guidelines.
How are they going to hear that, David?
I don't know.
Unless you tell them.
Oh, they're going to read the minutes. They're going to read the minutes.
Okay.
So what do we say to them? What's our position? What are we going to say?
Yes, we're working on it.
Okay. Do I say, yes, we're working on it, wait till we post it, or contact Nancy?
Well, we'll wait till Bonnie works up her draft, and then we said we're working on a draft right now, and it should be done in a couple of weeks or whatever.
Nothing more needs to be said. Yes,
right.
We're working on it.
All right. Just imagine if I did this with everyday questions like I do to Sharon.
Too much information.
I want it all. I want all that information.
Okay, I move that we close this meeting.
Right, and you could say, and when the draft is ready, it will be posted on the website.
Good.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Yeah, are we going to have another? Do you want to set another meeting?
I so move.
Do you want to set another meeting or no?
No.
Oh, let's wait till Bonnie does her draft.
Yeah, give me time.
Okay.
I have such a busy life.
Okay, so meeting adjourned?
Yes, I second. Bye-bye. Good work.
Bye.
Bye.